Morning.
Morning.
All right. Trained you well. So we're going to talk about marketing, and this is one of my favorite topics, especially to talk to lawyers about, because lawyers, bless all of your hearts, are so silly and have no idea really what marketing is, right? How many people here took a business class in law school, how to run a business? The two of you, awesome. You two also. What'd you learn?
We learned we need to have a plan. We learned that there's a lot, it's more to it than just saying, okay, I'm going to do this all on my own. There's a lot of planning and things that you take into consideration.
Did you talk about sales and marketing?
Oh, yes. We had to do a marketing plan as part of that.
Great. But most lawyers don't, right? And did you do a marketing plan?
Yes.
And you went out on your own, you have your own business?
Yes, I did.
And did you implement that marketing plan?
I'm working on it.
It takes time. It takes time. And it's hard and it's not intuitive. We go to law school and we learn how to be professionals, and then some of us go out on our own. And even when you don't go out on your own, you're still building your own brand and marketing yourself. And so you can either do it in a targeted fashion with some understanding, or you can, most people just kind of take this shotgun approach to how they present themselves and how they market themselves. But marketing is pretty easy. We make it more, as lawyers, we make it more complicated. You have to have a product or a service, done, check, right? And then you have to tell people about it. That's what marketing is. Tell people about what you do. Tell people about your services. We're going to talk about branding and image, marketing to referral sources, which I think is probably the best and most rewarding way to market your firm, marketing to the public, and then under that, we're going to talk a little bit about networking, which is also one of my favorite topics, because nobody likes to network. Or at least they don't think they do. They don't realize that they actually do, and then it can be really fun. And then we're going to talk a little bit about internet marketing, but that could be, a 2-day seminar on its own, certainly. So let's talk about branding and image. This is one of those things that lawyers have a hard time with, branding and image. It's hard to evaluate the return on investment by putting in time and money and crafting a brand. And what was a brand? Well, it used to literally be putting your initials on a cow, right? But take a look at some of these logos. We all know, I don't know what that baby is. I just thought it was cute. But the rest of that, we all know every single one of those products, right? Just by the logo. So that's essentially what you want to think of when you're crafting or creating your firm logo, which turns into your brand or your image that you present out there. Like I said, it's hard to evaluate the return on investment by having a solid brand or a recognizable logo. But guess what? You are never, I hate to tell you this, but you're never going to be the McDonald's arches, right? You're just not going to ever achieve that level of notoriety. You can try, and if you do, tell me how, but it's just not going to happen. The other thing, and this is one of my favorite things to talk about, lawyers think that their skills should count when creating or talking about their image. How many people have gone to marketing seminars that are geared towards lawyers and had some lawyer stand up and say, all you have is your reputation? Anyone ever hear that? What the heck does that mean in terms of getting a client in the door? And once you get the client in the door, how do you convert that potential client into a signed client? No real normal person knows what your reputation is, and lawyers are obsessed with their reputations, obsessed. And we should be. It's a profession, and we have colleagues, and we want to make sure we're doing the best work product and that we're thought of well and that we walk into a courtroom, we have credibility. Yes, 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 yes. I'm not saying any of that isn't true, but marketing is different. It's not necessarily about your reputation, because clients just don't know. They don't know. You can't, and the problem lawyers tend to have with talking about image is they say things like, I'm the better lawyer because I've tried cases like that, or I know how to do that kind of complicated dissolution. I have this experience, I have this skill. And that's something you can tell the client, certainly. And if the client understands what you're saying, it might help you sign that client. But if the client doesn't really get it, because they're not lawyers and this is their first exposure to the law, they're looking at your image. We purchase with our eyes, right? You look at studies and they say, what's the number one thing people say cause them to buy a new car? So new car purchases, what is it? Anybody?
Color, style.
What it looks like. Is that how we should be buying a car? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe how much it costs to maintain, the safety record, gas mileage. I mean, some people, buy hybrids or whatever, and that's what they're looking for. They're certainly not looking at what those cars look like, because a Prius is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen in my entire life. But, okay, so the Prius drivers aside, everybody else is purchasing with their eyes. And lawyers don't want to hear that, but I'm telling you the real truth. Your reputation doesn't really matter. It's the image that you present. And you can either sit in your office alone and argue against this, fact of human nature, or you can get with it and figure out how to market your service. To do otherwise is like going to a singles bar to look for, a partner and saying, well, I'm really nice and that should be enough. So I'm just going to sit here and wait because I'm nice. No, it's what you look like. And so, I mean, right? I'm not like, come on, we only got an hour. I got to cut to the chase with this stuff. So, you need to put together a cohesive, professional-looking image. A few years ago, I came across this study. Oh, I'm going the wrong direction. Let's not go backwards. Anybody know who Joshua Bell is? Tell me who's Joshua Bell.
Violinist.
Right, like world famous, one of the best classical violinists out there, right? I didn't know who he was until I saw this article. It's not my thing. Sorry?
This is great.
Oh, you know about this. Yeah, I was fascinated by this. Okay, so what they did, the Washington Post did this study where they take Joshua Bell, this world-famous violinist, they put him in a baseball cap, blue jeans, they give him $1 million Stradivarius violin, and he goes down into the DC Metro. He opens up the violin case, puts it on the floor, puts $1 in to just, spark people's interest. Here's what you can do too, put $1 in my thing, and he plays. Now, what happens? People are on their way, these mid-level bureaucrats, on their way to their jobs in DC, and here's this amazing violinist playing in the Metro, which has incredible acoustics. So I'm sure it sounded perfect and beautiful. And did anyone have a clue what they were listening to? Of course not. Because they're not qualified to judge whether he's a good violinist. They're looking at him. And they're saying, oh, it's another one of those guys playing in the subway again, asking for money. They just don't have the frame of reference or the criteria to judge how amazing he is. Your clients or potential clients are the same way. It's been proven. You don't need to take my word for it. So here's the way to have an image. I kind of threw some stuff up. These are things that my firm has done. We've got my website, we've got a firm brochure, there's a template of the blog, a referral brochure, and we just moved last month, so we did a move card. And you don't have to love my logo, you don't have to like the pictures, you don't have to like the font, whatever it is, but that is a cohesive image. It looks, I guess, kind of professional enough. That's what you want to present. That's what I'm talking about image. And that's what I'm talking about when people are purchasing with their eyes. They're looking to see what you look like on paper. I fought, oh God, I wish my marketing folks were here because they would tell you, I fought with them about words and commas and, well, that's not actually how we should be describing antitrust. And the marketing folks were like, what is wrong with you? Normal people who are reading this don't even understand what you're saying. They don't know what antitrust is. Break it down, explain it to them in a way they can understand, communicate with them in their language. Most people are reading and writing at a 10th grade level. And make it clean and nice and have some white space so they don't get tired of reading and throw a couple pictures and that's it, because that's how we're used to translating information. Anybody have this kind of like a letterhead and firm brochures, business cards that match? Anybody doing that out there? And what were some of the things that you wanted to tell your people when they were putting it together or when you did it yourself? Anybody want to share? No? Anybody just kind of do it? Say, I like green, so let's go with green? Yeah?
So I practiced employment law and family law, and I wanted to design a logo that looks like there's a family, whatnot. So I played with different ideas, and my initials are JD, so I designed a JD with a family, like a mom, a dad, and a child in the J. So it just has a holistic, image of what I do and also my initials.
That's great. That's your brand. Now start putting it on a hot poker and go around to potential clients and stamp them in the forehead with your, and I saw your business card and it is lovely. It's appealing. That's all you want. Maybe it'll be memorable, but again, it's not going to be the golden arches. It's not. It's just not. All right. So let's talk about referral sources. This is the one place where your precious reputation may have some impact, right? How many people get cases from other lawyers? I would say, when my office does intakes, we track where we got the case. It's mostly because people are going to call me up later and say, I want a referral fee, which is fine. That's part of my business practice, and it's how we do it. We pay referral fees. We appreciate the business. But we also do it to figure out who's sending what, where cases are coming from, just for our own edification. So when we looked at it and kind of crunched the numbers, it was something like 98% of my cases were referrals coming from other lawyers. And to me, that's a huge compliment. I appreciate it, and I think it's great. It also says that it's a good way to get business, so y'all should be out there meeting each other. We'll talk about networking later. But mind that field. Look at your classmates. Look at everyone in this room. Trade cards. Get to know people, because referrals are, I think they're not psychologically rewarding, because you can pat yourself, oh, I'm good. I'm good at Sally Field. I'm good enough. You like me, or whatever it is. But they're easier to convert into an actual client, because you've got street cred or courtroom cred already, because one lawyer has said to this potential client, this is a good lawyer. This lawyer does what you need. You can talk to them. You have the seal of approval. In terms of your marketing dollar, which people will spend that so quickly, and we'll talk about that a little bit, there's a low acquisition cost. I mean, referral fees aside, you're not spending a ton on SEO, pay-per-clicks, other traditional marketing sources, because it's just kind of word of mouth. Again, it's higher to close that type of client, because they come in, you have credibility, you know what they're looking for specifically. It's just an easier sell. And lawyers also don't like to talk about sales, but who here is in sales? We talked about this yesterday. Everybody's hand should go up, right? Not cheesy sales, but you have a service and you are the best lawyer for that client. So you need to explain to them why you're the best lawyer for that client, why you can do the best job for them. There's the potential for multiple repeats. I don't mean with clients. I tell you, if I see a client come back and they've been sexually harassed once before, or they've been in 2 auto accidents before, I think, you poor thing, you're walking around under a black cloud. When I finish my cases, I tell my clients, I hope I never see you again, right? Because otherwise it means something bad has happened to them. So I'm not talking about the clients for multiple repeats, but you can get multiple referrals from people. I have lawyers who tell me, you're my go-to person for employment law. So on their short little list of who they refer cases to, I'm the one who they send those cases to, and that's the kind of relationship you want to develop with folks. Okay, still referral sources, so we're talking about other lawyers. Most of us do this kind of by happenstance. It's just who we went to law school with, who we sat next to at the bar association dinner, kind of randomly who comes into our circle. But just like the woman in the back was talking about the marketing plan, you should really put some methodology to this and build your referral network strategically. So what does that mean? That means define your target universe. So, join your local bar association, and if you're doing family law, find the probate people and market to them specifically. Look at crossover areas to reach out to in some way. It gets very expensive to try and take everybody to lunch, right? And time consuming. So figure out a way that's a little bit cheaper that, send a letter or make a phone call or even a quick coffee, something like that. But don't just do it randomly. Find a group and go after that group. Drip. Drip doesn't mean that lawyers are drips. That's not what I mean. Drip is contact. Marketers call this TOMA, top of mind advertising, right? You want to stay at the forefront of people's minds. My least favorite thing to hear, when I was in college, it was last call. I didn't like to hear that either. But now it's, oh, I forgot you did personal injury. I just referred out this huge case yesterday. What? That's horrifying. You don't ever want to hear that. So stay at the forefront of people's minds. Remind them of what you do. In my world, in the plaintiff's trial world, a lot of people do personal injury. So everybody knows I do personal injury. I work at letting people know I also do employment, right? Because there's going to be a crossover, and most of the PI lawyers don't do employment. But I have had even good friends say to me, oh, I totally forgot you did employment law. It's horrifying. Don't let that happen to you. Okay. Marketing to the public. Again, this could be a week-long course, but just very basically, there's traditional advertising. Nobody likes to think of themselves as the guys on, midday TV. Have you taken this drug? You should call 1-800 or whatever, right? Like, that's a certain type of business practice. I don't judge it. Those people send me cases, actually, because they're really just clearinghouses for getting the clients in the door, and then they refer them out. It's effective. That's why people do it. And if you have an unlimited source of income, that is a great way to get clients. When you talk to folks about marketing, I've had people I mentor call me up and say, well, the local newspaper wants me to run an ad. Is that good? The local talk radio station is doing a special on, radio spots in the morning. Is that good? It's all good if you have enough money, right? If you don't have an unlimited source of funds, you have to figure out how to reach out to the public in a cheap and cost-effective way. I can't compete with my big competitors who are spending $100,000 a month on, pay-per-click for personal injury San Francisco. I can't do that. So you have to figure out a way to do, kind of guerrilla marketing that works for your practice area. Just down and dirty, so to speak. Get in, find a way to communicate with the public, and figure out how to convert that. One of the best ways that I've heard, and I haven't done it, it probably would make sense for my employment practice, but not really for my personal injury practice. It makes sense for what you guys do. Do seminars. They are a fantastic way to meet members of the public. The expense is the room, but you can find a less expensive hotel, get a conference room, and you do a seminar on prenup agreements or whatever. I mean, I don't totally understand all of your practice areas, so you guys obviously have much better ideas about what you could be doing to educate the public. But there you have a built-in number of folks. You serve them some coffee and some bagels in the morning or something, and then you're the subject matter expert. And you have credibility, and they're there to answer, ask you questions, and you're there to answer. You take their information, and then you do the drip thing with them too. Do you need help? Do you need anything? Is there something I can do for you? And you've given them a benefit by educating them on some area of the law they need to do it. I just saw a good girlfriend of mine started an adoption practice in San Francisco, and she's doing this. And it seems fantastic. She's doing really well. Another way to do it, and this is, again, is kind of traditional marketing and may or may not make sense for lawyers, but do specials or promotions. I mean, I don't know, buy a prenup and you get 50% off the divorce. I don't know. But you guys, you come up with the ideas, but you know what I'm saying, right? Okay, just real quickly, networking. Who hates networking? Really? No, okay, you're the only one. I'm floored because normally everybody's hand goes up. All right, why don't you like networking?
Because it seems really manipulative and fake and phony.
Mm-hmm. And then it's painful, right? It's an unpleasant experience because you're talking to someone and they're doing this. They're, girls, this is what we do. Shoes, handbag, jewelry, right? The men are shoes, watch, tie. How successful is this person? What can this chick do for me? Can she send me clients? I don't know. Okay, well, if she can't, maybe there's someone else around. Right, that's the exchange when you go into it like that. It's horrible. Of course you don't like networking if that's the experience. Here's how I network. Y'all remember The Godfather? What did The Godfather do? I mean, I'm not talking about like, give me a case of Joey's gonna beat you up, whatever, right? Like, that's not what I'm saying, but what did The Godfather do? What was his MO? How did he operate?
He gave services.
What? Someone loud, speak up.
Make an offer you can't refuse.
That's an approach. What I was thinking of was favors, right? Why do people go to The Godfather? They needed a favor. And he said, okay, I'll do you that favor. I'll do you that. What do you need? Okay, it's done. Don't think about it again. And then I'm gonna write it down, and it's an IOU, and I'm gonna put it in my pocket.